Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, I'm going to talk about one of the main roadblocks to achieving your personal goals, right? And I know this is especially true for me. It took me a while to get over this, but there have been times in my life where I felt like, hey, I really want to do this, but I feel like I'm not good enough or I'm not perfect enough. And therefore, you know what happens? I just never get started, right? So there's a phrase from Tony Robbins where he calls it perfect is the enemy of the good, right? Perfect is the enemy of the good. Now, I'm not too familiar with Tony's work, I'm gonna be honest with you, but a lot of people that I've listened to always reference Tony, right? They're like, oh, Tony Robbins says this, Tony Robbins says that. Tony Robbins says perfect is the enemy of the good. And when I first heard that phrase, I was like kind of, I was a little bit confused because it's kind of a strange way to phrase it. But what does it mean? It means that we never get started in our goals because we're waiting for perfection, right? And he has a podcast. So if you ever want to Google this podcast with one of the founders of Waze. So if you don't know what Waze is, it's a very popular traffic app to the scale of Apple Maps or Google Maps. So if you ever ride on Uber or if you're driving for Uber, I think those are the three options, main options for selecting a map app to use while driving throughout the city, right? So let me just scroll down here. I haven't actually listened to this podcast, but um, there's some really good takeaways from here. So Yuri, who's one of the co-founders of Way, says, well, it says here, we'll share one of the most important lessons how to make a successful business. Perfect is the enemy of the good. This is something Tony often says as well. Perfection is the lowest standard in the world because what you really have is a standard you can never achieve. And as Yuri shares in the podcast, while you're out there working towards perfection, your competition is coming up with something that is just good enough to win the market. He says if you spend too much time trying to be perfect, you will lose the market to someone that's good enough. And that is insanely deep. That's insanely insightful. Because what happens, with a lot of people that I talk to is that they just don't move to the next step. And I know what their mental roadblock is. They're looking for perfection in order to move on to the next step, and that's not how, unfortunately, things work, right? I know in my life I've stopped myself from achieving my goals or even like going, taking the first step because I was waiting for perfection. I was waiting to be the expert. I was waiting, um, you know, for someone to tell me that everything is fine and dandy, and then I have permission to proceed, right? But a lot of you, and I'm not talking about you specifically, but I just know in my real life, let's say I do like helping people out with their real estate business or something like that, and I just give them like really simple actionable steps, like you just got to send 10 letters a week, and very few people do because they think that they have to know every single little thing about real estate in order for them to become successful. And I know that when I first started, again, because I was like super desperate, right? Um, I'll just do anything to so I can get a deal. And I sent letters, and then I was so scared of receiving the phone call back that the seller wanted to sell a property to me. But had I just waited until I got everything and knew everything in order, I would have never gotten those phone calls. And then I made appointments to see their houses, and I was so scared because I know nothing about real estate investing, right? Or I'm such a noob, I don't know what I'm doing. So when I walk into the seller's house, they'll know that I'm a noob. They'll feel it. Like there's that fear. Like they'll know that I'm a noob, and they'll think I'm an idiot and run me out of town. I had that fear, right? But the thing is that we always get good by practicing our craft and having a few missteps and failures along the way, right? And again, good enough is good enough. Just the fact that you're going to get started is going to put you ahead of, I want to say 99% of people. I don't know if that's correct, but I'm just going to use that figure, right? And so I'm just going to reread this again because I think it's really, really important to understand. Again, one of the most important lenses how to make a successful business is that perfect is the enemy of the good. This is something Tony often says as well. Perfection is the lowest standard in the world because what you have is something, a standard you can never achieve. And as Yuri shares in the podcast, while you're out there working toward perfection, your competition is coming up with something just good enough to win the market. He says, if you spend too much time trying to be perfect, you will lose the market to someone that is good enough. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. This is one of the most insightful and mind blowing things that I've read. And there are way too many people out there who are telling themselves, I'm not just going to get started in anything that I do until I know every single thing about the thing I want to do, right? And that just doesn't exist. If you talked to me 10 years ago, I had no idea how a mortgage worked. I had no idea what a line of credit was. Um, I had no idea what a personal credit profile was. So when people would say things to me like, "Oh, like a business credit card won't appear on your personal credit," I was like, "What does that even mean?" Right? Or filing a tax return. I was like, "What? Why do we have to do this?" Who? No one told me in high school we had to do that. Things like that. And so, again, the fact is that for me, I decided there was a certain point in my life where I just said, "Okay, well, I'm gonna make this leap of faith to find out and figure out what I need to know and just get started. And if I fail, I fail." And so a lot of you might, when you listen to me, might hear me as like this seasoned pro, which I'm not. But that's because I just got started, right? I just got started, and I'm able to learn the things that I'm learning. And again, even with YouTube. I don't know anything about video editing. When I first started my first videos, all I did was just record on Zoom and then make thumbnails on Canva. And then I went to the next step by using OBS instead of Zoom, which has higher quality video. And then I think, there's going to be a next step where I might hire a video editor, or I might take a video production class or something so I could have better videos on YouTube. But it wouldn't have started unless I made the first couple of videos with just the Zoom recording feature and a copy of Excel, right? And everybody has Excel, or you could get a free copy online or the web version. But again, what if I had waited to be perfect in all of my video production doing velocity banking? And I'm pretty sure I made some mistakes on some videos here and there, right? This channel would never gotten started at all, right? So that's just another example. But again, perfect is the enemy of the good, and the pursuit of perfection is the reason why so many people fail. And the reason why they fail is they just never get started, right? So, okay, so I'm going to make a plug for a group. If you want to get started, go ahead and click the Google form link below, and we'll get on a one-on-one Zoom call, and we'll see if you're a good fit for the group. And what would you learn with this group? You learn about real estate investing education, financial literacy education, and business entrepreneurship education. So it's good things that you'll learn. Again, I don't guarantee results because, again, if I show you what to do, it's like that quote from the Matrix. If I show you a door, you got to walk through it. And if you don't know what the Matrix is, because the last movie was quite awful, number four, which should have never been made, and they should have never made number two or three. Watch number one from 1999. It's a great movie. Again, if I show you the door, you just got to walk through it. That's why I don't guarantee any results. All right, so that's it for today. Have a great day, and we will speak next time.